Hello. Today I'm going to be taking you through these two lovely art pieces that you can kind of see laid out on the table here that I did for, of course, our project with Othello. The first of the two that I would like to take you through is this one, which I don't really have a title for, but the theme it goes with is that senses can often deceive the mind. And what is depicted here is the from the first scene of Act 4, where Othello is led to believe in a conversation between Iago and Cassio about the whore Bianca that the two are laughing about the whore Desdemona, which is evidently not the case, but because he is led to believe this, his jealousy and anger towards the whole situation, and especially Cassio and Desdemona, only grows, him believing her to be just the absolute biggest harlot in all of Cyprus. So, to explain this piece a little bit, because it's kind of abstract, I suppose I should start with the eye, which is, of course, Othello's eye, looking through a distorted black lens that is evil thoughts, and all he can see is the laughing of Cassio towards who he thinks is Desdemona, when really it's Bianca. It's all to show that he has a completely misconstrued understanding of the entire event. So misconstrued, in fact, that his jealousy only grows more and he starts going into fits of murderous rage and even epileptic shock. Let me hold it up right here. The two quotes I chose to represent this particular theme start first with Act 3, Scene 3, when Iago begins to really do his magic on Othello to convince him that his wife is in fact cheating on him, even though she isn't. And while asking Othello what he needs to give him for evidence, he's just pressing him and pressing him to tell him, what do I need to give you to convince you that this is happening? And while this isn't just one of the normal senses you think about, like sight, smell, hearing, well, I guess it technically is hearing, but what really matters here is that it's his sense of pride that's being tugged at, his pride at having a wife to himself, and if he knows that, his wife's been cheating on him with anyone else, especially Cassio, it's not really going to go very well for his shattered pride. The quote I chose from this scene is by Iago saying, "It were a tedious difficulty, I think, to bring them to that prospect. Damn them, then, if ever mortal eyes do not see them bolster more than their own. What then? How then? What shall I say? Where's satisfaction?" He's looking for an excuse or a reasoning that he can give to Othello that his wife is in fact cuckolding him. He doesn't even have one himself yet. He's asking Othello, what can I do to convince you further? What can I do to distort your thinking, distort your sense of pride, and your sense of loyalty to your own marriage? Because you're not very loyal if you're killing your own wife. Let's be real. The almost forgot second quote comes from scene 1 of Act 4, where Iago convinces Othello to go off and watch from afar at the conversation he is about to have with Cassio about Desdemona, as in Bianca, where he tells him, look at what's going to happen. I'm going to mention her, and he's going to start laughing. Because obviously he feels that he has completely used her in their affair, just as she is a whore of Cyprus. It goes like this. But do encave yourself, and mark the fleers, the jibes, and notable scorns that dwell in every region of his face, for I will make him tell the tale anew. He is so plainly telling Othello, look at what I'm about to do. I'm going to have you go off and enter a conversation you've never seen the context of, and I'm going to tell you your own context to interpret. His sense of sight at Iago's face, as well as sound, when he hears Cassio's laugh, as he's seeing his expressions of just pure mirth and ridicule, make him believe that he is laughing over the affair he's having with Desdemona, when really it has nothing to do with that. Othello has been convinced by Iago of a completely different reality, which tugs on both his sense of pride and of his auditory and visual senses of situations that he has no context of. He has no context of. Therefore, it's pretty evident that his senses are definitely deceiving his own mind as to the situation of his wife's loyalty and Cassio's loyalty. Now, the second example of art is the effect of these senses deceiving the mind. We see here, don't worry, the text doesn't matter. We see here the green-eyed monster, although there is no real green. It's kind of there, but it doesn't show up on camera, I'm sorry. But we see the green-eyed monster, or the shadow of what Othello has become, looming over the wedding bed, where he's about to strangulate his wife to death over something he believes to be true, even though it isn't. And that is jealousy that has been working on him throughout the entire play. We see here in these two quotes, which I will read. The first one comes from Act 3, Scene 3, when Iago warns Othello of the possible jealousy that could potentially grow up within him and lead to murderous tendencies if he were to find out that, his wife hasn't been loyal. Oh, no. Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. It is the green-eyed monster which doth mock the meat it feeds on. And of course he's about to completely give him reason to be jealous, which Othello more than takes that bait, let's be honest. The instant he even has the thought of his wife being with anyone else other than him, added on to the fact that she has once denied someone or betrayed someone that was very close with her, being Brabantio, her father, he just immediately buys the reality. Sure, there's a little bit of holdout. Maybe she's honest, but the thought is still there, and it overpowers him and changes him into something completely else, such that he actually denies his own self in the play, succumbing to his jealousy. He denies everything that he was and basically admits to himself that he will become this murderous monster, hands reaching out like so to kill his wife. The second quote goes on from Act 4, Scene 1, where we see that Othello has gone into an epileptic shock over the sheer thought of Desdemona and Cassio being together. We'll just say that. This comes from Iago attempting to explain to Cassio that he should just kind of leave him alone when he's having spasms on the floor, saying, "The lethargy must have his quiet course, if not he foams at mouth, and by breaks out to savage madness." You're probably thinking, that isn't a very important quote, and yes, it does not seem to be one. But one, it alludes to the fact that, Othello's having seizures over the sheer thought of anything going wrong here. Second of all, it's a good analogy for what he's about to become. What does it say here? Oh, savage madness? Well, that sounds a lot like what a monster is. Savage madness, no thought at all except of bloodthirst, which he ultimately succumbs to and vows, as he vows to kill Cassio and his own wife. Now, I hope you enjoyed my short presentation. I hope you got something out of that. And have a good night.